$3 billion in outlay, so 27,000 crores, something of that order. And then we are sort of in the stealth mode. We will eventually come out and design services.
Okay.
In design services, right now we are, semiconductors have to be designed. So we are doing for our own. Eventually we'll start offering those services. The one big thing is semiconductors is a very capital intensive industry. So
Yes.
you can't go with small investments. It has to be bigger. Once you decide to make a plunge, has to be huge investments, and that scale matters. 3 years from now, they will release a new technology.
Right.
Today, they don't even know how the technology will be built.
Hi everyone. Welcome to IMA Podcast Series 2026. I have our guest for today, Mr. Murali Ranganathan.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, Karan.
Mr. Ranganathan is the CFO at Tata Electronics, and we'll be having a quick conversation about his journey and about what he's doing at Tata Electronics, the interesting things that are happening.
Excellent. I appreciate. Karan, nice to know you, and looking forward to the conversation.
No, thank you. Thank you for being here. Welcome to Indore. Welcome to IMA.
Thank you.
I hope you have a great conclave.
Fantastic hospitality. Really appreciate. Like I was saying, it's a hidden gem in India.
Thank you for the kind words. So let's start off by talking about Tata Electronics, right? So from what I understand, you're overlooking an investment of $14 billion in greenfield projects. When you're looking at capex of these sizes, what are the biggest challenges that you face when it's a completely new project in a space where it's not been done before in the country?
So let me, for the sake of a little bit of background of what Tata Electronics is, let me just take a step back, and then it'll make sense when we go into this particular question. So Tata Electronics started roughly in 2020, actually through an acquisition assembling iPhones. That's called the EMS business, so Engineered Manufacturing Services. And slowly but surely, the company chairman, Chandrasekharan, realized that semiconductors is going to be the future, not just for Tata, for India, for the globe, in a lot of different ways. And he decided that this is an area where Tatas want to plunge in. And so that was the motivation behind, and it led to a couple of large semiconductors for us. There are three broad categories. Okay. One is the fab, which is making the silicon, actual silicon. So that's located in Dholera. That's about $11 billion.
That's the largest piece of the puzzle.
Correct. That's the largest piece and the most complicated. Then there is what's called assembly and test. Once a chip is made, it has to be assembled or encapsulated and assembled into a motherboard and so on. So that is in Jagir Road, Assam.
The other part of the country.
Other part of the country. That's roughly about $3 billion in outlay, so 27,000 crores, something of that order. And then we are sort of in the stealth mode. We will eventually come out and design services.
Okay.
In design services, right now we are, semiconductors have to be designed. So we are doing for our own. Eventually we'll start offering those services also for other clients. So this broadly forms the semiconductor bucket, which I'm responsible for. Now your question about, hey, this is a huge investment.
Is huge. These are numbers which are difficult to imagine.
Correct. And you will understand, in the keynote, I'm going to talk about some of this. The one big thing is semiconductors is a very capital intensive industry. So you can't go with small investments. It has to be bigger. Once you decide to make a plunge, it has to be huge investments, and that scale matters. So it is a prerequisite, right? So you can't go in.
You can't do away with it.
You can't go in with $1 billion or $2 billion. It has to be. A fab costs few $1 billion. The equipment costs several $1 billion. So once you put all these things together, this is a sort of a cost of entry. if you will.
Okay.
Right? Once you decide to go in, this is the cost you pay to enter. Now, you asked a very good question. How do you manage it? How do you make sure that this large investment pays off? You have to be extremely focused, right? So if you pick these are,
environments change, right? This investment would also happen over a period of time.
Correct.
And the macro environment during this time could very well evolve.
Which is a great point, because the thing with these things is, technology changes, and these investments, when you're building a factory, it's a multi-year journey to start with. If you're developing a new technology, it's a multi-year journey. So you have to take, it's like with any startup, I think you're with one of them. You take with a good, solid business plan in mind, but you have to be ready to pivot and change within the envelope of what your business plan presents. So that has to be a prerequisite. So this is a essential need for this industry, which is very fast paced, that you can't tell what's 3 years or 5 years. I was telling somebody that, for example, let's ignore Tata Electronics for a second. Pick my prior company, Micron. Micron, let's say 3 years from now, they will release a new technology. Right? Today, they don't even know how the technology will be built. That's the status. So there's a lot of anguish. If you go and ask the technologists saying, hey, 3 years later you have to produce.
They don't know what they're going to do.
They know what they're going to do, but they don't know how, because this is laws of physics that they have to overcome.
Okay.
Right? Because the electron movement, and because they're making the circuitry
smaller and more powerful and more powerful.
And ensuring that it delivers financial returns. All this is unknown. So one of the, again, the cost to play, or the ticket to play is
very expensive.
Expensive, and be ready to this kind of risk. So, but you're not going without completely unknown. So you have a track record of doing this. The industry has done this for 30, 40 years. So you say, okay, we'll figure it out. We'll go in.
But I think it's a fantastic combination, right? So you've got the track record of yourself being in Micron for, I think, over a decade now?
More than 15 years.
15 years in Micron, which is in the center of the global ecosystem for semiconductors. And then with Tata Group, which has extensive experience in building large-scale projects and sort of, managing large businesses in the country. So I think it's a fantastic combination to play this game.
Personally, for me, it is. So this is other thing, right? So back to our earlier question, why Tatas? See, this is also a long game.
Yeah.
In the sense that this may be unpopular, but the first fab investment probably will not pay off huge financial returns. So it is a long game in the sense that we are starting 30 years behind the rest of the world. And we will catch up fast. But we have to also think that this is a marathon. This is a long game that we have to play. We have to keep investing. Eventually, you will get the scale. And eventually, you will get the technology, you will get the innovation. But it's not going to be in the first inning, right? That you will start to make enormous amounts of money. And so for that, Tatas are especially well suited.
Yes.
They are
not in a hurry.
Not they are in a hurry, but in the sense that their vision.
They have a longer vision.
30, 40 years from now, and they have a track record of being the national champions, of pioneers of whether it is steel or airlines or hospitality.
So many things. So many things.
When everybody looked at them and said, "You're jokers, right? Why would anybody?"
Why are you experimenting? And all of these are large capex intensive businesses.
Exactly.
All of them.
And they have the wherewithal to persevere, stay the course, and as life throws things at you, figure out different ways and somehow emerge successfully. So particularly well suited for that. And that's the only reason, I decided to change. So, Micron's a great company. I
think Micron's also coming to India. I think I just read today morning that there's a groundbreaking ceremony happening in the next couple of days.
Not groundbreaking. They're going to be the first with chips made in India in this month. So they broke ground 3 years ago, 2.5, 3 years ago. Yeah.
So when you look at your experience with Micron and in the US, and now you've been sort of operating and leading the business at Tata Electronics, uh, what does this shift look to you from a leadership standpoint? How is the ecosystem different? I mean, keeping semiconductors aside for a moment and looking at more the people side of things or the pace at which business is growing.
Interesting question. So the first is a mature company with a mature operating environment, with a
Yes.
startup company with a completely unknown operating environment. So then, as leaders, we have to put structure and methodology of how we will operate. We have in Tata Electronics several, call it quote unquote, expats like myself, who have come after 25, 30 years, both Indians and non-Indians,
Okay.
which is fascinating, which speaks to the name of Tata, because
They're
the
able to
foreigners
attract
are-
that kind of talent.
yeah, foreigners are willing to come,
Yes.
come to India and do this. So we're all bringing different company backgrounds, different processes, different methodology, different ways of approaching. So you have to, first and foremost, is to develop that common framework that, hey, this is how we will operate. And it is a startup, fast evolving startup, in a grand scale, but
But a
fast-
startup, nevertheless.
Exactly, correct. So, and fast evolving. So as leaders, we have to put structure around it, saying, okay, this is how we'll make decisions. This is how we will operate. These are the important pillars.
These are very foundational things that need to be
Foundational
built
things.
for the organization that needs to last a century,
Correct.
half a century.
We will improvise. I don't want to, but at least for now, for the foreseeable
Yeah.
future, these are our pillars. And you're right that we want to think about them, that these are withstand the test of time.
Yeah.
But there will be some that you will
Of
say,
course.
okay, 5 years from down the road, hey, we have set up now. Maybe we, some operational
track.
excellence becomes more important.
Yes.
Taking big risks is maybe not the most important, so on and so forth. So that's number one. Second is, it is also a combination of talent. When you said people side, some who are experienced 30-year veterans, and some who are completely green.
Okay.
Right? Fresh people. We have recruited something like 250, 300 graduates from the top schools and people with few years out of college, and we are training them with our partner in Taiwan.
Okay.
On semiconductor processes. Many of them are completely green. So then you have to play the role of coach,
Yes.
right? And you have to say, hey, these are things you want to learn. This is what will help your career, will help the company. Don't do shortcuts. Even if it takes time, let's follow principles. Let's build a strong foundation. So as a leader, becomes even more important comparing to Micron, where this was probably not, for me, it was not needed as much. Coaching is
It was structural, I think, by virtue of the duration of the company's operations.
Correct.
And I think you mentioned about talent, right? So this is an industry which is new. You cannot get talent from people who've been there, done that. So that itself becomes a challenge, at least locally, I would say.
True, but we are also being, again, I mentioned earlier on about innovation.
Yeah.
We're also being innovative about talent. So the one good thing about Tata's is they're like not shy of going and recruiting professional, because if they are bringing foreign nationals or even Indian nationals, you have to pay.
Yes, you have to pay the salaries.
You have to pay reasonable amounts for them to make it worth it for them. They're willing to do that because they know that, hey, my first ramp up, without this talent, it's going to take much longer. And secondly, we are also going out in specialized cases, recruiting talent outside the country, whether it even senior technicians, right? We have done recruitment drives in Malaysia and Singapore and so on to get talent, because we know that specialized talent doesn't exist.
Right.
There are also other things where we are, so even just, I'll tell you a simple thing like construction. Because of this, the fabs require high purity gases, and they have to be made to very stringent standards. So there are things like I'm not a construction expert, but laser welding, orbital welding, and all these things, talent doesn't exist. Here we are willing to as a start, go get the talent
From outside,
bring it in, but long term
also develop that in-house on an ongoing basis.
Trade schools, partner with universities,
Wow.
Partner with trade schools and ITIs to build this talent. So when we are building the next fab, it's there.
It's already, it should be available by then.
Yeah,
yes.
70% is here, and then you can get the topmost.
30%.
Because of course, experience, somebody who has been in the industry doing this for 30 years, there's a lot more things that they bring to the table. But at least you slowly mitigate. That's how our thinking has to be, and that's how our thinking is. That I'm not here for the next 15 years. I'm an older guy. But the thing is, my goal is to create the next level, that locally sourced talent who then become the best high performing finance team in the industry.
It's not just the organization. Essentially, your mandate is to build the entire ecosystem, if you think about it.
Correct. This is within our ecosystem is different, just to clarify.
Okay.
The ecosystem is, along with, so we will be making the wafers or packaging the wafers. There's a whole load of suppliers who will supply equipment, who will supply materials, who will supply, and
those capabilities also need to be built now.
We are helping, and the government is helping. So, as an example, in Dholera, we just recently got the government to, carve out something like 300 plus acres for foreign suppliers. They are looking at a combination of us with our partner, introduce the government to specialists who make semiconductor tech parks. Right, so they'll come and set up the infrastructure. So these guys will also attract, because these guys have done this in many places around the globe. So they will also attract suppliers to come and set up. So they'll build, whether it is warehouses for their things, or a workshop for assembling last mile, or having their talent, a little laboratory or whatever. All these people have to come. So it's a broader ecosystem, step one. Step two is the bigger ecosystem for India itself. I'll give you a small example. Interestingly, last week or this week, I was sitting in Ahmedabad airport, and I so happened to strike a conversation with my neighbor. He's in a firm that does high-speed drilling, very small precision holes, very high speed, 25,000 RPM is what he said.
Wow.
And they do it for automotive, and they do for defense applications. Now, he was asking me, are there applications where we care for semiconductors? And he had actually found out that, so we have something called, in this vapor chamber, so on the chip, you deposit
vapors and
chemical CVD, chemical vapor deposition. So you deposit these wafers, small atoms or molecules you deposit, and these wafers come through a shower head. It's like your shower, like a shower head with tiny holes, right? So it's way smaller than what these guys do. So he's asking, is there an opportunity? Where would I find partners? Can I find some international partners? Can you help?
Yes.
So these sorts of, this second level of ecosystem. The first is the applied materials and the ASML, the large equipment makers. They will themselves, we want to enable their ecosystem to come set up shop. Then you have
the second tier
small
ones,
where local people who are in adjacent industries or industries
implementing those things,
or finding partners,
yes,
international partners. So now, if you can imagine, like if you look at the auto ecosystem in India today,
very evolved, where you have
30 years
tier
ago,
1 suppliers, tier 2 suppliers, tier 3 suppliers, and we all understand that.
Correct, and then all with partnerships where needed with international vendors and so on. So that's what we are trying to create.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. It was so interesting to learn about semiconductors and how one can actually think about building a whole new industry at scale within a country like India. Thanks for spending time with us.
It was a pleasure. fantastic talking with you, Karan, and it's my pleasure to share with the audience a little bit I know of semiconductors and what this exciting journey is going to bring for myself personally, Tata Electronics, and India in a broad sense.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you for watching. Keep thriving.